The I.R.S. is armed, ready, and dangerous. The I.R.S. is armed, ready, and dangerous. With that, I would like to say, Kal Halal, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rachwa Kwadash, the water Yahweh for giving us Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles of GMS who have the 100% spirit of Yahweh Bahashim in them. Double honors to the CT bishops, elders of GMS, our big brothers. Greetings and salutations to all the brothers in this country and all over the world who are prophesying in the true name of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, which is none other than the power of the nation of Israel, which consists of you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, and anybody who are descendants from those people on their father's side. Shalom to those who are scattered abroad. Shalom to the Akim and Akwath. I am your Iquab, Lord willing, serving the King of the universe. All right, and again, as the title reads, is the I.R.S., which is basically Internal Revenue Service. We all know who they are, right? Is armed, ready, and dangerous. All right, so this is really a continuation, and from the show that I did 4 shows back, or really 4 days ago. The show is right here. Actually, I can show you. Right. There is no salvation without persecution. Right. So basically, public enemy number 1, which, you know, the people who believe, who have the truth, which is none other than the prophets of the Heavenly Father, you know, we're going to be public enemy number 1. But that's not really the subject. But persecution is definitely coming. You know, this is a part of that. But again, this is stemming from this show. And I read an article that I'm about to read now, which is this one. Coming after ordinary Americans, the I.R.S. adding armed enforcement agents as part of a massive new hiring spree. All right. So we're about to read that article. But in that show, I read this. I don't think I read the article. I just read the title, you know, and I said that basically, you know, the viewers, you could read for yourselves. But as you know, looking over it, you actually after that show that a few days ago, I was like, damn, you know, I got to do a follow-up. So this is that follow-up. And of course, I want to finish off the show, bringing out a few scriptures, you know. But, you know, again, that's why I'm making a show on this, because after reading it and really furthering the point of that, that the downfall of America, man, and basically what this means, you know, that the Internal Revenue Service, we all know what they are, right? Like the phrase goes, you live and pay taxes, something like that. You pay taxes and die. Those are 2 things that are definite, right? And 2 things that are definite, and the I.R.S. is definitely fixed in people's minds every day, right? Why? Because we simply pay taxes, right? And this place is all about taxing, right? America. But real quick, again, Internal Revenue Service, right? So it's an organization of America that deals with basically the civilians, or the people, and how they get their revenue, if they get their revenue legally, you know. So that's what the I.R.S. is about, making sure, according to their penal code laws, that that they're basically checking how you're getting your revenue. So, which is basically your assets. And what are part of your assets are your homes, right? Homes, businesses, you know, of course, where does your revenue go? In your bank account, right? So the Internal Revenue Service, or the I.R.S., has been known to, what's the term? There's a term for it. Just basically empty out your account, you know. They go after people who supposedly do tax evasion. You know, a lot of celebrities fall into that. They go after people with 1099. I had a 1099 once. I had a business out of delivering medical supplies for 1 year. Didn't last too long because I had an old van, and with the money that you get, a third of that or half of that check is going to tolls and repairing your car if you have a van, if you have a bad one, which I had a bad one. But if you have a 1099, you pay taxes like quarterly, right? So you get the point, So basically, any way you make money, there's supposedly an organization that deals with that, and we already know it with taxes. So the point I want to bring out, I'm going to read this article, but it doesn't spell anything good for the citizens of America, man, because we're every they say every person who's born, you're in debt as soon as you're born into America, right? And I think $250,000 in debt, and let alone, and then you grow to adult age, go to college and whatever have you, and you may have taxes that you owe, you may have stuff you owe the government, and so they're going to be dealing with that. So people of America, you're in debt already, right? And you have assets that the government really owns. So we're coming to that time, the worst time, where the so-called pandemic is happening, when people are getting sick. You have people's rights being taken away. You have natural disasters. You have the economy collapsing, right? And then on top of that, you have the government. They want to arm the I.R.S. to make it even worse for you, right? And let alone the other things that I'm missing. So that's going to bring a lot of oppression, man, and a lot of grief and a lot of agony, So we're about to read the article, but before I read that, I couldn't help but think, oh, I'm sorry. And also, what this is happening after the, really what this is brewing. Another point I want to get out is the Civil War. You know what I mean? The Civil War, that the people who really believe in this fantasy called America, which is really your white supremacists, your patriots, your patriot people of America and all that, or no matter what color you are, people who believe in America, they're going to fight for their fake rights, that you never had, right? And they're not going to allow, because why? The goal goes back to the Constitution, right? So your Constitution and your rights are being stripped away from you, right? Your guns, all this, what you own is being stripped away, right? So the American people, right, they're not going to stand for that. So there's going to be civil war, orchestrated by the elites anyway. And then also, so that's what's going to entice, and they want that. They want to provoke the people, right? And then also, this correlates with the Trump raid. You know what I mean? Because he got raided himself, a former president, which has never been done in American history. His home got raided, which he has followers, all right? He has followers that actually, they believe in the Constitution. They believe in this fantasy called America, all right? So what is this going to entice? It's going to entice 100% a civil war, which we've been telling you here at GMS from the Spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai through the scriptures, man, that there's going to be civil unrest here, right? Whether it be race wars, class wars, there's going to be civil unrest. The Bible talks about that. The Spirit of the Lord talks about that, right? All right, so that's the talking points. So one thing before I read the article, I just want to read some out of Lamentations, because I was trying to think of scriptures, which I have one in 2 Esdras 15 and 16, but I couldn't help to think about the book Lamentations, because Lamentations means to cry, and basically deals with the nation of Israel being besieged and sacked by the Babylonians. All right, and Jeremiah prophesied against that and warned them, but really for the wickedness of our people, that's why that happened. But when you go into the book, it just talks about Israel being destroyed, man. The homes of the homes of Israel being sacked, being spoiled, being dragged into slavery, captivity. All right. Very simple, man. And it's basically, that's what I think of when I think about the I.R.S. knocking at your door. When they knock on your door, man, and they say, well, you got to get out. We're taking you home. We're taking, they're literally taking it right in front of your face. You got no time to prepare. That's going to bring great anguish amongst the people, and also people fighting back. You're going to be carted off to jail as well, right? People going, if you don't pay certain, they call you right to jail. And we already know what jail that is, the concentration camps, okay, that we also talk about here at GMS through the Spirit of the Lord. So let me read this real quick. This is out of this Holman Bible Dictionary I have here. Actually, it's Brother Yaza runs from years ago. Let me have this or borrow it. I have it. And this is Lamentations, right? And I just want to read something in here real quick. Because I was going to go to Lamentations, the 3rd chapter, but we'll see if the Spirit allows. But I'll read this. I just want to read this real quick, right? Lamentations, it's going to go through the chapter. It says Lamentations 1. This is description of Lamentations, a book, page 859. It says Lamentations 1 mourns the misery resulting from the destruction of Jerusalem and explains that the desolation was God's judgment for the nation's sin. Lamentations 2, chapter 2, continues to lament over the ruin wrought by divine anger and calls the people to prayer. Yeah, because their cities were ruined. It says, it moved them to call back on, to be obedient and call on the Most High by prayer. It says, while Lamentations, the 3rd, further extends the mourning over Jerusalem destruction, it also declares that God's steadfast love gives reason to hope that he will extend mercy in the future. In light of that hope, the author calls for repentance. Lamentations 4 vividly pictures the horrors of the siege and fall of Jerusalem and places part of the blame for the judgment on the immoral prophets and priests of the city. See, that's a major point there, because remember, the point is siege. So you're going to be sieged when the I.R.S. comes. That's a siege, breaking into your home, and taking your belongings, taking your assets, right? And that's what war is. War is basically when prophets, Heavenly Father did it. The Israelites did it when we go into when the Most High sent us to the land of Canaan. What do? We spoiled them, right? Or the engagement, the rules of engagement for war, right, is basically you take their spoils, man, and take their women, right? That's another name for booty, spoils. And you that's part of that siege. It says, but also it pointed out, it says, and pointed the blame for the judgment, the things that happened to them on the moral prophet and priest of the city. So they blame their misfortune, right, and their destruction on the wicked prophets, the wicked noble leaders of the city, the priest of the city, and said that's why these bad things happen unto us. So they even know back then why bad things happen, which is really evil, because evil means bad times. Which the I.R.S. knocking on your door with a gun in your face, that's bad times when you got a child in your arm you're trying to feed. Okay. You might as well think to say, man, why is these bad things happening to me? Is it because my politicians and my noblemen or whatever, people who run this city, run this government, or even run this country, are they wicked? Right? So it says Lamentations, the fifth summarizes the calamitous situation and closes with a prayer of restoration. Now, this is the point I want to get. It says Lamentations served the Judeans, which is really the Israelites, as an expression of their grief, right? So Lamentations deals with expression of cry and anguish and pain, and an explanation for the destruction, and they call for repentance and hope. The book warns modern readers that an immoral nation stands in danger of God's awesome judgment, excuse me, and that the only hope for survival is submission to the Most High. And that's true. That part, it says the book warns modern readers, right, or really Israel, and really all non-nations too, because you're going to fall under that judgment, that an immoral nation, right, is not America immoral, right? They lack morality. They lacked virtue. They lack true knowledge, right? That an immoral nation, which America is, stands in danger of God's awesome judgment. Yahweh B'Shem Ashai I don't want to see all this ain't no church, but his power, man, right? His awesome judgment, and that only the hope of survival is submission to the Most High. And that's true, man. And that's what the prophets of the Heavenly Father out here trying to tell you, man, that the only way you can get out of situations like this in the concentration camps and them turning up the frequencies for you to be fried and turn into goddamn zombie running roaming the streets, and what other supernatural thing going on right now in the world, the only way you're going to be saved from these calamities is to submit yourselves under the rule and power of Yahweh Shema Shai, man. You can only do that if you believe in Yahweh Shai, and which the only way that proves that you're an Israelite. Now, just wanted to read that. Now let's read this article. Okay. Now this is on Natural News. Now, here's the article here. It says, coming after ordinary Americans, the I.R.S. adding armed enforcement agents as part of massive new hiring spree. Okay. Now, in a government that believes in no gun violence, here it is in the same breath proving they're hypocrites. They're going to arm their I.R.S. agents who has nothing to do with law enforcement, right? As far as, you know, civil obedience, not civil obedience, but like, you know, dealing with violence or whatever have you. Now they're arming them with guns, you know. Why? Because it's going to get crazy out here. That's why. The only reason they be arming guns is because, you know, to take away something from them that they really need to survive. But anyway, it says, Natural News, Democrats and their allies claim that the latest gargantuan spending bill just passed by the Senate, which contains tens of billions in new funding for the I.R.S. Internal Revenue Service to hire 87,000 new staff. New staff is not aimed at ordinary Americans. It says, but of course, Democrats and their allies have no ability to tell the truth. It says, thanks to the decades of deficit spending, Congress on programs, which, you know, I'm not going to get into the whole Democrat-Republican thing because that's something that's really, you know, how should I say, advertised out there for a greater divide. You know, the left wing and the right wing are all controlled by what? The brain. So, you know, just like you have a right arm and a left arm, or a bird has a right wing and a left wing, those wings can't do nothing without the brain. So there's a brain controlling both wings. So I don't get into the whole Democrat, Republican crap. Anyway, thanks to decades of deficit spending, the Congress on programs aimed at buying votes, the U.S. government is massively in debt. As of this writing, America's national debt is $30 trillion. And to be brutally honest, there is no way that the debt gets repaid. There is zero political will in Congress to raise the kind of taxes on all earners via a fair tax or flat tax and cut the programs eating up so much of every annual budget, so our debt will only continue to grow. And like I said, look at that, $30 trillion. That's only on paper. There's other hidden debt that America has, which is estimated to be over $100 trillion in debt. Right. And like I said, if you're born in this country, really all over the world, but really we're talking about America, you're already in debt as a baby. Right. So it says, however, the interest payments on our debt will begin to skyrocket soon, thanks to the Federal Reserve having no choice but to raise rates to slow inflation. Thanks to Democratic spending and Joe Biden's Let me read that again. I'm sorry. However, the interest payments on our debt will begin to skyrocket soon, thanks to the Federal Reserve having no choice but to raise rates to slow inflation. Thanks to Democrat spending and Joe Biden's economy destroying policies. So the Democrats are about to hire tens of thousands of new I.R.S. agents whose jobs it will be to target ordinary Americans for more taxes. Not just anyone making more than $400,000 a year, like the liars on the mainstream cable TV networks claim. All right. I think this isn't. The I.R.S. is hiring new special agents. Requirement including working minimum 50 hours a week, which may include irregular hours, be on call 24/7, including holidays and weekends, and carry a firearm. Oh, I don't know. I didn't mean to go there. Okay. I don't have Twitter, but I guess this is the actual Twitter posting. Yeah, this is the your job duties. Maintain a level of fitness necessary to effectively respond to life-threatening situations on the job. So when the hell does IRS have to respond to life-threatening situations? Well, maybe if you're there to knock on the door and say, "I'm taking away your guns and your house and your home," where you provide shelter for your family and your wife, I'm gonna take it away. So of course that, the opposite party, they're gonna fight for their home or whatever they're being taken away. So it's gonna get dangerous out there, especially in this time in 2022 with the economy going the way it's going, and people. I just saw a brother just post, if you make $100,000 a year, you are not considered middle class anymore. So that's how bad things are going, and that's how bad inflation is rising. That you used to, even $67,000 a year, you were middle class, but now it's just getting worse as far as where your money goes. I think they said to live in Manhattan, you have to make $140,000 a year just to live a comfortable life in Manhattan right now. It says be willing and able to participate in arrest, execution of search warrants, and other dangerous assignments. All right. Let's go back to the article. I guess guys be funny. It says they will combine accounting skills with law enforcement skills to investigate financial crimes. All income earned, both legal and illegal, has the potential of becoming involved in crimes which fall within the investigative jurisdiction of the I.R.S. criminal investigation. Right, so they're just looking for an excuse to block you away in a concentration camp. Right, and that was it. I think everything else is just basic comments. I'm not going to really read that. See, they're just making a Democratic thing, but it's bigger than that. Let's see. Criminal investigation. See what this says. Yeah, well, I just read a little bit, but it says, as a special agent, you will combine your accounting skills with law enforcement skills to investigate financial crimes. Special agents are duly sworn law enforcement officers who are trained to follow the money, no matter what the source. All income earned, both legal and illegal, has the potential of becoming involved in crimes which fall with the investigative jurisdiction of the I.R.S. criminal investigation because of the expert ties. All right, so that was it for that. Yeah, so hey man, it's getting serious, but it's been getting serious, man. And again, now with that, us reading that, basically they're looking, like I said, looking for an excuse to throw your ass in prison, man. And really, we know what that prison is, a concentration camp. And they're going after people, man. Plain as day, they're going after people. It says legally and illegally. So, hey man, this place is done. All right, so let me just get Esdras 15 and 16. Excuse me, second Esdras 15. All right. And I'm going to skip around a little bit. It's the second Esdras 15, verse 1. It says, behold, right, which means to look, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, right, which I will put in thy mouth, said the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Right, so all these prophecies were written by men that are inspired by the Lord, right, to write these prophecies down through the Spirit. Right, and we're about to read one of them, a few of them. Right, so it says, I'm going to skip down to verse 12. It says, Egypt shall mourn, which is America, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. Right, because we just read in Lamentations, right, that when all this stuff was happening to the children of Israel, when they're being sacked and besieged, just like the I.R.S. is going to sack and besiege you and spoil you, right? They blamed their priest and the prophets in their city because they were wicked. They said they were wicked, doing wicked things, and basically, like we just read in this Bible dictionary here, it says basically that this was all done for. It was done for an example to the future, for all people of the future to know that if you're in an immoral nation, you're going to be visited by the Most High, and America is not, and without a doubt, immoral. You took the Most High's people and carted over here in slavery, man, in slave ships. We already know the dynamic of that. I don't need to go through that. Hangings, lynchings. All the oppression that we've gone through as a people is beyond evil, man. It was wicked. All right, and the so-called white man, there's nothing you can't sugarcoat that. You can't, you try to lie about it. Saying we're coming for job opportunities and whatever have you. Or not trying to teach about what happened, we came here. But nothing, you can't hide what you've done to the Father of Spirits, Yahweh Shemai Shai. You can do all you can on earth, which you've done, but you can't lie to Yahweh Shemai Shai, all right? And hide it from him. That's why judgment's coming down and things like this. It's going to get worse. And for you you 2/3 too, man, who believed in this bitch called America, right? So it says, but I will bring them with a mighty hand. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and the punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn, for the seed shall fail through the blastings and hail, and with the fearful consolation. Right? And it says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords are in their hands. That sounds like a civil war to me. Or that sounds like a civilian war to me, right? Civilians just going at it, man. And that's what your media is instigating. They're instigating a civil war by purposely taking away your rights, purposely provoking the people, the patriots of this Babylon, people who actually believe in their fantasy laws or the Constitution. They're provoking you to start something, man. And that's why, again, that whole thing with Trump happened, because to provoke and to provoke his followers, which again are nothing but a lot of white militia groups and nationalists and patriot prayers and stuff, things like that. It says, right? It says, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another, and that's happened, and it's happening all over the world. It happened already, especially with the thing that's that's Trump is going to call for, right? For the January 6th situation where his, people who believed in Trump raided the Capitol, and he supposedly ordered them to do that, which is all for show. That's all for show. But anyway, because, I'm not going to get into that. We already know who's orchestrating the tensions in America, right? We already know. It's the powers that be. For there shall be sedition among men, invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power. Just like I said, that January 6th or whatever that day happened with, the dude wearing that Viking helmet and raiding the Capitol and all that stuff. That was an example of that, and it's going to escalate, man. Oh, you just had a guy with a gun just broke into the FBI headquarters or something like that, and he got shot down. So, people are it's going to get worse, man. But remember, order out of chaos, right? Hailing dialectic, problem, reaction, solution. Who's creating all these problems right here, right? Problem, reaction. So they're trying to get a reaction out of you, which is really a war, man, civilian war between the people, man. Hating one another, divided, right? Division, divide and conquer. And what's the solution? It's going to be martial law. Right, a new order. They're gonna get away. They're gonna bring a UN troops in here, man, which we always talk about too. Right, because a lot of the militia are people within the forces, the military and the police forces, man. They're gonna fight for their constitutional rights. So what's gonna happen? They're gonna bring the UN troops up in here, man. Right, that's what they want. And man shall desire to go into the city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Right? And man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword. And that's what the I.R.S. is doing. I mean, let's talk about it in general with all the chaos, but you could lump up the Internal Revenue Service with that, man, right? They're going to come into your house. They're not going to have pity on you. Oh, you could lay all the excuses you want having a child. I got people to feed. My father's he's on a breathalyzer system, whatever have you. He's on a respirator. They're not going to hear any excuse, man. When the I.R.S. comes to seize your shit. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods. Hey, they come with a sword because of the lack of bread and great tribulation. And on top of this, there's a famine developing, man. Right? Behold, said the Lord, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south, from the east, and Lebanon, to turn themselves one against another, and repay the things that they have done to them. Who is the them? The nation of Israel. And how are you going to repay the things? Because you're going to pay in the valley of judgment, which is the Lord's gathering all the kings, like he said, from the rising of the sun, from the south, from the east, meaning all four corners of the world, all over the world. The Lord's stirring up the armies of all these other nations, man, for that final World War III, right? Because that's the end of it. And that's the end of it, man. And Yahweh Shai is going to interrupt World War III. Like as they do yet this day unto my chosen, so will I do also, and pay back and recompense in their bosom. Thus said the Lord power, my right hand shall not spare the sinners. My sword shall not cease over them that shed innocent blood upon earth, which is you damnation of Edom. The fire is gone from forth from his wrath, and hath consumed the foundations of the earth, and the sinners like the straw that is kindled. Woe to them that sin and keep not my commandments, said the Lord. Okay, so that was one, and America is definitely none of that. America is Sodom and Gomorrah, so they don't give a two shits about the Lord's commandments, and neither do the 2/3. That's why you can be destroyed. All right, so last one. This is second Esdras 16, right where I'm going to read from. Second 16. So, second Esdras 16. See what I read. I don't want to read the whole thing. I just want to read a little bit. Salaki out there. Okay, this is it's ripped off. All right, well, you know what? Let me last scripture. This is 2 Esdras 16 verse 30, but it's ripped off my page, so I'm gonna have to go to the computer. I got it saved here. One sec. Second Esdras 16. Okay, I'll just put on over here. I'll start from 21. It says 19, it says, behold, famine and plague and tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. See, right there, that's beautiful. Okay. Because amendment means to correct. So the Lord says, look, famine, which we're here, is going to escalate. Plagues, which we hear, is going to escalate. Tribulation, which we hear, is going to escalate. Anguish, which we hear, and that's definitely going to escalate when they take away shit from you, man, are sent as scourges for an amendment. Scourges to be beat down. And matter of fact, let's get a definition of scourge. It says a whip used as an instrument of punishment. Okay. A bullwhip, rawhide. Okay, basically whip used as punishment, all right? So behold, famine and plague, tribulation, anguish are sent as a whip for correction, you can say, right? It says, behold, Salak, but all these things, so I'm just trying to hold it. But all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in a good case, and even then shall evils grow upon earth, sworn of famine and great confusion. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them. For the earth shall be wasted, and the city shall be cast down. There shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it. The trees shall give fruit, and who shall gather them? The grapes shall ripen, and who shall tread them? For all the places shall be desolate of men. So that one man shall desire to see another, and to hear his voice. For of the city there shall be 10 left, and the 2 of the field, which shall hide themselves in the thick groves, and in the clefts of the rocks. As in the orchard of olives, upon every tree there are left 3 or 4 olives. Or as when a vineyard is gathered, there are left some clusters or of them that diligently seek through the vineyard. Even so, in those days there shall be 3 or 4 left by them that search their houses with the sword. I mean, this place is going to be barren, man. You know, with hardly any people around because there's going to be so much death. All right, and he gives olive tree an example of, or a vineyard where grapes plucked. You're gonna be plucked up, and you know there's gonna be nobody left, man. There's gonna be so much death. and the earth shall be laid waste, and the fields thereof shall wax old, and her ways and all her paths shall grow full of thorns, because no man shall travel therethrough. The virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms, meaning young women, having no husbands, and the woman shall mourn, well, you just said it, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers, because a father's a help, right, to the family. He's the head of the house. Actually, that's what it means to be father, the head of the household. In the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. Yeah, because your husbands, which in this country is women too, since you gun-ho G.I. Jane over here, then you're going to be going off to war too, and you're going to die. Because you women think you're husbands yourself, right? You think you were men. So you're going to die, and you're going to leave. There's going to be a lot of orphans, man. Hear now these things and understand them, ye servants of the Lord. Behold, the word of the Lord, receive it. Believe not the gods whom the Lord spake. Behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack. That's right. They're not going to turn back. As when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains, when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. Once that water breaks, man, it's the countdown. You might as well just turn that, what do you call that, hour clock or sand clock upside down. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Right? So it's inevitable. Right? And that's what's happening now. The plagues on this place is not slack, man. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. O my people, hear my word, make you ready to the battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth. And that's really talking about the men of the Lord, right? Because a pilgrim means basically traveling on foreign land and creating miracles, right? So without no miracles, you're not a pilgrim. So who can create miracles and do spiritual things, using spiritual power, is none other than the men that the Most High gave the spiritual power to, which is the Holy Spirit. You know, which is just like how the Lord, when he appeared before the disciples after he died, and he said, "Peace be unto you. I breathe unto you the Holy Spirit." You know, and basically that moment they had the actual spiritual power to go on and cast out demons, to do whatever they want in the spirit, man, not be afraid anymore, not lock themselves indoors and hide themselves. You know, so we're coming into that time that the Lord's going to make us true pilgrims and lifting up that standard by doing great miracles in these days while we're out and about as well, man. He that selleth, let him be as he that fleeth away, and he that buyeth as one that will lose. He that occupieth merchandise, he that hath no profit. All right, I think that was pretty much it that I wanted to read. All right. So yeah, so all right, so that was the show, you know, and again, just going into the I.R.S. is armed, ready, and dangerous, man. But all this just points to all the chaos that's happening, and it's gonna keep escalating in Babylon, man, which is all being done overall. We know that the elites, they're engineering all this. They want a civil war, right? Problem reaction. The solution is going to be the martial law and the UN troops. We used to say that way back in 34th Street with the posters, man. You know, because it's you know, these people who actually believe in America, and they're going to fight for their fake rights, their imaginary rights, right? So they're going to have outsiders come in and bring law and order, all right? So, hey, man, only the ones who believe we're going to be saved out of it, man, you know, of Yahweh Shemai Shai. So, that's what I wanted to do, a show on. And like I said, check out, I'm not going to post the article in the description because I want to force the hand to check out the other show, which is, There is no salvation without persecution, Public Enemy #1. I got 2 articles on that show you can check out, okay? So Lord willing, I'll say, pray the Lord is with the show and you're edified, and Lord will, I'll see you in the next one. So Kal Halal, Yahweh Ba'ashim Ashar, Ba'ashim Kwakadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS, double honors to the CT elders of GMS, our big brothers, and salutations to brothers in this country and all over the world. Prophesying in the true name of Yahweh Ba'ashim Ashar. Shalom.